ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने। सविलास महामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। सविलास महामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। परमात्मा द्वयानंद पूर्णः पूर्वञ्च मायया स्वयमेव जगद्भूत्वा प्राविशज्जीवरूपतः। Vicharaha kartavyaha. We saw that in verse number 5. Same thing is said in the Viveka Chudamani. Ato vicharah kartavyaha. Enquiry has to be done. And we saw all kinds of wrong enquiry, and we also saw the right enquiry, which is called pramana vichara. That is the correct kind of enquiry, not the wrong enquiry. Wrong enquiry means all kinds of things. I want to know Brahman, therefore I will go fly a kite. This is hoping that I will understand Brahman and I will be as free as a kite. This is the wrong enquiry. So all this we have seen, and so the pramana pravritti means the activation of the pramana handled by the teacher. The centrality of the teacher has already been talked about at length. So the activation of the pramana in the hands of the teacher makes this knowledge alive. And we also saw the Chandogya Upanishad opening, which talks about how everything in this Jagat, everything is what? Sat alone. In fact, the whole Jagat is what? Sat. So when you say pot is, the isness, the existence of the pot belongs to what? Clay. And similarly, when you say Jagat is, the existence of the Jagat belongs to Brahman, Paramatma, Ishvara. So, this is how we have to see that. We have to see that this Pramana Vichara is important and at once difficult. It is difficult to subserve to a Pramana because we are used to being in control. We are in the control of everything we know. We name everything. Especially when one country colonizes another country, what do? They rename the country. Mumbai became what? Bombay. So like this, so many different things, all the street names are there because naming is an act of power. I am the one who is naming. Naming is an act of power, and then, so therefore, when I name all these things in the Jagat, I feel very powerful. I have given this name. I am this one. I am the best. So like this, that control is what is coming in the way of knowing oneself. And what is this self? That which need not be named, that which cannot be named, that which cannot even be located in a particular place at a particular time, that because of which I have the ability to name everything else, that is what I have to know. That is Paramatma. That is what I have to internalize as the truth of myself. And so I have to submit to this Pramana. What is this Pramana? Shabda Pramana. The words of the Upanishad becomes a means of knowledge, and I have to submit to that. if I'm serious about this knowledge, I have to submit to that. So we can say that every other means of knowledge gives me object knowledge. Shabda Pramana, the words of the Upanishad, gives me subject knowledge. The knowledge that I am not subject to objectification. I am Advaya, I am Ananda, I am Purna. This, there is no other way of knowing. It is easy to back up the pramana that I operate. I can say, you are wrong. I saw it with my own eyes. I heard it with my own ears. You were saying bad things about me. You can say that. My ears do not lie. My eyes never lie. Just as we back up our own means of knowing, our own pramanas that we operate, we have to be able to back up Shabda Pramana also, because that is an independent means of knowledge. But just because it comes from outside, somehow it is greeted with diffidence. Sometimes one has pramana allergy. I don't operate it, therefore I cannot handle it. Guru allergy. As soon as you say Guru, one breaks out in hives. Oh, and then the culture doesn't help it. There is one saying, I don't know in which, one of the vernacular languages, don't stand behind the donkey. Okay, that's reasonable. Why to not stand behind donkey? It will kick. And don't stand in front of the Guru. Why? Because Guru will also give a kick. Silly it is. Only difference, donkey kicks from the back, Guru kicks from front. Strange ideas. Be far away. Gurus, just say hello from far, that's all. Because there is a fear. And what is this fear? The fear is nothing but the decimation of the ahankara. The ahankara has created a parallel, we'll see more of that in this very text which is so beautiful. The ahankara has created a parallel jagat. Ishvara's srishti, Ishvara's creation is this jagat that we know and we can interact with. Upon that is projected what? My own jagat. I use the raw material of Ishvara's jagat, and using the raw material of the Ishvara's jagat, the jiva projects a personal, private jagat, full of wrong notions. This one doesn't like me, that one is an idiot, and perhaps I am the idiot, I don't know. But then all these kinds of wrong thoughts, wrong ideas and subjective projections. So the jiva's jagat is full of subjective projections. Ishvara's jagat is an objective projection of himself, herself. So the subjective projection means what? Feelings, emotions. All these things come in the way. Unprocessed emotions, feelings come in the way to see the Guru as inimical to me. It's very sad. In India, many times we find this. There is a suspicion connected to gurus, teachers. There is this feeling that, especially among the urban intelligentsia, not so much in the rural areas or small towns, but among the urban intelligentsia, the feeling is, okay, you're just siphoning off the resources from the society. You are able-bodied. Why aren't you working? What's wrong with you? That's just the kind of a general feeling which is there in some circles. Thanks to colonization, thanks to Kali Yuga, I don't know who else to thank, but all these, because of all these reasons, there is a definite skepticism. And that skepticism is something which has to be also interrogated and then finally given up. Because if there is a guru allergy, then I have to kiss Vedanta goodbye. No other way to learn. No, I'm going to intuit this. I'm going to intuit that I am the whole. We are talking of the nature of the intuiter. I'll stumble upon this knowledge. We are talking of the nature of the stumbler. I'll infer Ishvara. Ishvara is not an object of inference. Just like you cannot infer yourself. Somebody tried. One of the French philosophers tried. I think, therefore I am. You can't, you can't say I think, therefore I am. It is the opposite. I am, therefore I have the capacity to think. This is what we have to see. And in this way, we have to have a healthy regard. We have to cultivate a healthy regard for Shabda Pramana. What do you have to lose if you give it the benefit of doubt? The only thing you have to lose is your ignorance. That's all there is to lose. There's nothing to lose. And the gain is ananta. The gain is the gain of the infinite. Iha ched avedit atha satyamasti. Na chediha avedit mahati vinashtihi. If you know this right here, right now, then your life is made, says the Kenopanishad. If you don't know this right here, right now, then the loss is infinite. The loss of the infinite is an infinite loss. And to protect myself from this infinite loss, I have to open the heart, I have to keep the mind and the heart open to receive this knowledge. And this receptivity alone allows me to, as a jiva, to withdraw my own projection. In fact, chapter 4 of the Panchadashi is all about Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara's creation and Jiva's creation. What is Ishvara's creation? This big, beautiful Jagat. What is Jiva's creation? Confusion. That's the only thing the Jiva can create. Confusion. As a result of self-ignorance. And so it is incumbent upon us to keep the pramana, in a healthy, with a healthy kind of a open-mindedness. To be open to the pramana. This, without that, there is no knowledge possible at all. And so, the nature of Paramatma has been given. There is no nature of Atma. Why? Because inside the word Paramatma, Atma is already there. So this Atma alone is Paramatma. Oh, how did I become Jiva? You did not become Jiva. No, but I feel like a Jiva. That is what is going to be addressed starting in line 2 of this thing. Paramatma dvayananda purnaf purvam swamayaya swayameva jagat bhutva. After having projected this jagat and as though entered this jagat in the form of Satchidananda, 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 the Taittiriya Upanishad talks about this in great detail. So kamayat bahusyam praja yegeti satapotapyat satapastaptva idagum sarvam asrijat yadidam kincha tat srishtva tadevanupravishat. Same thing here. Pravishat. See, that same word pravishat is there. In the second line. Pravishat. Entered, magically entered all the names and forms. First, this great being, Bhagavan, desired. What was the desire? Let me be many. Let me be many. Bahusyam prajayeya. Bhagavan is like an amoeba. Let me be many. And then what happened? So, Tapotapyata, contemplated. And what was this contemplation about? About the last cycle of creation. And the last cycle of creation was perfect. It fulfilled all the requirements, checked all the boxes. Why improve upon something that doesn't need improvement? Why reinvent the wheel? So saying, Bhagavan said, let me be many. Last time what happened? Oh, interesting. So this time also same blueprint, similar blueprint. Jivas, new bodies. Old wine in new bottles. How is wine spelled? W-H-I-N-E. Old wine in new bottles. New body to complain about. That's all. In the old body I had certain complaints. Now in the new body I have many other wines. So many wines. And it's all there. The blueprint is just perfect and complete. Who will marry who? Who will be born in which country? Maybe the people who are born in this country and from childhood have a great desire for everything Indian. In the beginning it will be clothes and food. After that it's the philosophies, yoga, Jyotish, Vedanta, all these things. Maybe they were born in India in the previous life and a very deep desire. I never got to go to the United States, never got visa. Oh, maybe next life, tathastu. American body, Indian thinking. This is what happens. And opposite is also possible. Indian body, fully American thinking. I knew one boy, they brought him to me. He was just about 7 or 8 when I first met him. Now he's a grown young man. But then they brought him to me. They said we don't know how, but he just has learned to talk in an American accent. I said, what kind of school you send him? They're sending him to an Indian school. Public school. Not a private school, nothing. I said, do you have any relatives in America? No. So then, do you watch any TV shows? You let him watch any TV shows? No. But he was just completely, just a small boy, as though he had just been born in the States and been living there and suddenly plucked and brought to India. This is how he would behave. And he would say, this is not my country, I'm going to go over there. And he did. He did. As soon as he finished his studies, he went for further studies, and he's here now. So like this, all these things are there because it is all there in the blueprint of the Jagat. The manifestation is all there. It's an effortless manifestation. Like how long does it take for you to think of a flower? Not much time. Similarly, for Bhagavan also, there is no time involved in the quote-unquote making or the projecting of this Jagat. More than a srishti, it is abhivyakti, it's a projection. No time is involved because time is also part of the projection. Space is part of the projection. Space and time are yet to come. All of them, it's not that the Jagat is projected in time. The Jagat is, the time is part of the Jagat. Time and place are also manifestations that come along with the Jagat. Tat srishtva, having made this whole world of name and forms, Bhagavan said, there is something missing. What is that? Me, my presence. Satchit Ananda is missing. Satyam Jnanam Anantam is missing. That's why everything is Brahman. Every single thing in the universe we say is Bhagavan, is Brahman. Every single thing is sacred. Every single thing is Bhagavan, Ishvara. Tadeva anupravishat. Tad anupravishya sat cha tyat cha abhavat. Having entered the whole realm, of all the realms in the creation, Bhagavan, as it were, became everything without losing anything at all, as though became everything. Mind you, Bhagavan has not become the Jagat, just lent the Advayatvam and Purnatvam, Ananda, etc. to everything in the Jagat. So Bhagavan is never away from the Jagat. The whole Jagat is nothing but Bhagavan, and here the text goes one more step, and he says, Swayameva Jagat Bhutva, having quote unquote manifested, become the Jagat, then also entered the body of the Jiva. Pravishat Jiva Rupataha, entered the body of the Jiva, entered the body in the form of the Jiva. Why? The Jagat was enough, yes. But what fun is the Jagat when there is nobody to complain about it? No fun at all. Nobody to appreciate it. Nobody to say, why is it like this? Nobody to have some jignasa in the Jagat. Why is this like this? Why is this particular animal walking in this way? Why does it have so many feathers? Why does this one have feathers and that one has scales? Somebody to even wonder about the Jagat. Someone to express wonder, someone to appreciate, someone to complain. Who is that? Jiva. The self-conscious being, blessed with 100% self-awareness, total self-awareness, pravishat, entered this Jagat in the form of the Jiva, entered the Jagat as the Jagat, and also entered it from the standpoint of the self-conscious Jiva. So where is Jivatma now? Nowhere. Only Paramatma, who just has a new skill now, has recently learned to complain, coming in the body of the Jiva. Old wine in new bottles. That's all it is. The whole thing is like that. Pravishat Jiva Rupataha. Oh, so now this is unavoidable. What is unavoidable? I am Paramatma? Yes. Why are you asking as though there is a question mark at the end? Because you don't know my life. My life is not like being Paramatma at all. I have so many problems. I'm always rushing around. All the things I want, somebody else gets. All the things I don't want, I get 2 helpings of. This is my life. And how can you say I'm Paramatma? I'm subject to fear. I'm subject to sorrow. I'm subject to mortality. I'm subject to death. And I am incomplete. I'm not Purna. And what do you mean I'm Advaya? Even my body has parts. Everywhere there are parts. Parts. The whole Jagat has parts. I am not Advaya. I am not Purna. Purna means contented, full of oneself in a nice way. I'm not contented. What do you mean? I'm contented. I have a big list of things that I want in order to be contented. Oh, let me see the list. Well, it has to do with other people's behavior, other people's conduct, other people's demeanor, which I'm learning I cannot change. Yet I am not contented. I am sad. How can you say I am Paramatma? Paramatma means should be cheerful, should be happy. But then what has happened here? Something has gone wrong. If I am Paramatma, if Paramatma has entered this miserable body-mind sense complex, then there should be something to show for it. Where is that? Where is the proof? The proof is you. You are the proof. Because if I were to ask you, What is it that you want? You will say, I want to be Purna, whole. I want to be Advaya. I want to be Ananta, limitless. It is in keeping with the human desires. Everything is in keeping with the human desires. I want to be Paramatma. I want to be the boss. That's why everybody wants to work from home. Everyone wants to be self-employed. I want to be the boss. I don't want to be overlorded by anybody, including Ishvara. Ishvara, Shmishvara, who are you? I want to be Ishvara. I want to have that. I want to have that adhipatya. I want to have some kind of a control over everything. This is an inbuilt desire. It's not some kind of a Hitler syndrome. Only few people have it. Everybody has it. In people like Hitler, etc., all these tyrannical dictators, it has reached a kind of a, what should I say, some wrong dimensions because of some mental illness, narcissistic personality disorder and the like. So it has reached some terrible proportions, but everybody has this. That's why nature becomes so dear to us. It doesn't talk back. The mountain doesn't say, sit down, shut up. No. Family members say, shut up, sit down. Mountain doesn't say that. The river doesn't complain to you about you. And that's why small animals are also very welcome. Dogs, especially dogs, they just love you unconditionally. Cats will put some conditions and then love you. So, dogs love you unconditionally. Even if you beat it, it will come wagging its tail, alas. That is the way it is. And I want this because it makes me feel good. I say sit. Nobody sits, but the dog will sit. Roll over. Nobody rolls over for me. Not even the significant other, when told to roll over, will roll over. Who will roll over? Rover. Dog. Dog will roll over. Jump. Dog also is clever. It doesn't roll over and it doesn't sit because you are telling it to sit. It sits because you have some treat in the hand. That's why it sits. If there is no treat, it will just go away. So, but still, there is the kind of a adhyasa, there is a kind of a feeling, a wrong feeling nonetheless, there is a feeling, I matter. This is what one wants. One wants to matter. That's why one thinks one can matter by having a lot of things. Maybe then people will look up and say, aha, this person has so many things that I don't have. This person matters. This person has so many accolades. That's why I want to have accolades so that I can matter. I can mean something. And then what? Name, fame, riches, degrees. If you don't have degrees, you can have a pedigree. I am from a noble descent because I want to matter. So I flash the nobility in everybody's faces. I am from this royal family. I have this kind of a lineage. And then if nothing else is available to me, I try to become a YouTube influencer so that I can matter. All the time looking, how many likes, how many things, because the social media starts very young. So the self is understood as somebody that is wanting validation, that needs to matter. And all this is because I don't know that I'm the only thing that matters. There is nothing else other than me. There is nothing else like me. There is nothing unlike me. In fact, there is no competition. Atma alone is Advaya, Purna. Because it is Advaya, it is Purna. No competition. Therefore, it is contented. It is contentment personified. It is full. It is limitless. Therefore, it is Ananda. unbridled, limitless happiness. All this I want to be. And the Shastra says, you already are. But this vision is obfuscated because why? Because of ajnanam, anyatha jnanam. Next verse. Vishnuaduttama deheshu pravishto devata bhavat martyadyadhama deheshu sthito bhajati martyatam. This same Paramatma, which is what? Satchidananda. Satchidananda, this consciousness, which is I, which is the truth of the I. What did it do? As it entered the Jagat, it also entered this consciousness, also entered the bodies. What kind of bodies? Uttama deheshu. Uttama means it entered into exalted bodies. Like what? Vishnu, Indra, Varuna, these devatas. And became a pedestal for worship, became very worshipful. What? This same Satchidananda consciousness. Advaya, Purna, Ananda consciousness. Sitting in the body of Vishnu and other exalted devatas, the Vishnu is what? The one who keeps the universe going. And when you unpack the word Vishnu, it means that which is all pervasive. Vyapnoti iti Vishnuhu. And what is all pervasive? Consciousness is all pervasive. And this all pervasive consciousness, and we have to add my favorite phrase. What is that? As though entered into an exalted body like Vishnu, Varuna, the Lord of Rain, Indra, Goddess Durga, all these things. The same consciousness as though entered those bodies, and then what happened? It came to be known as Devata. Devata abhavat. It gained the status of Devata. As soon as you see a photo of Vishnu, you automatically go like this. You see Shiva's photo, you go like this. Again, Indra, Agni, Varuna, who are invoked through various Vedic mantras. In the Homa we saw yesterday, and in the Homa, when they are invoked, what do? You again go like this. So they gained an exalted status. What is it that gained an exalted status, as it were? Consciousness. This consciousness known here as Paramatma, which is presented as Advaya, Purna, that which is the only thing that is existent, the isness of the whole universe belongs to which, that Atma, as it were, entered these exalted bodies and became what? Became a recipient of various kinds of worship. Everyday garland, everyday incense, everyday nice naivedya, offerings. What a life! Fantastic life. To be Vishnu, no stress. That's why he's lying down all the time on the original coiled mattress. That's why he's lying down, nothing at all. And whereas and then Lord Shiva also, still very cool to be Lord Shiva. Why? Because you can just sit and meditate in the Himalayas. I would probably take a sweater, but that's okay. That's just that's okay. Still, I would just, nobody to bother, very nice, I could meditate. And if I was Goddess Durga, I'm happier still. Just go kill a few baddies for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then my job is done. Again, I'm worshipped for 9 days intensely twice a year. Chaitra Navaratri and then the other Navaratri. Plus otherwise also I'm worshipped all the time. Very nice. So this is the fate of this consciousness. is living in exalted bodies. Body here means upadhi. And then what happens? That same consciousness, what did it do next? Martyadi adhama deheshu. Adham, uttama means exalted. Adhama means what? Lowly. Lowly. So first what is the opposite of lowly? Highly. First, manifesting in high bodies, highly exalted bodies, such as various deities, Shiva, Vishnu, Rudra, Indra. All these bodies became a worshipful entity. And then what? Entered also the lowly bodies. What are the lowly bodies? Martya Adi. Martya means human being, mortal. Adipadat, all other things. Things that fly, things that swim, things that creep and crawl, things that walk. All of them. And in the Shastra we have a very nice way of talking about the various jivas. 4 categories. One is Jarayuja. Jarayu means mammals. Born directly of the mother. Jarayujaha, mammals. One set of this thing. Then we have Andaja, born of Anda. What is Anda? Egg born. We call them twice born. First the egg is laid and then they are born of the babies, the chicks of the birds, and then also let's not forget the reptiles. Baby snakes, baby grahas, crocodiles are all born of egg. Andaja. So the birds and the reptiles are andajas. Then we have udbhijas. Bhumim udbhidya jayante udbhijaha. That which break open the earth and come out. What are they? Plant kingdom. Then finally we have Shvetajaha. What is that? Born of moisture. You buy a perfectly good kilo of rice and keep it. And you go away for 3-4 months. You go to India in the summer after keeping this rice in a jar. And then come back and you say, okay, let me put on some rice. Instantly, if you do that, you will become non-vegetarian. Yeah. You look at the jar and your mouth is ajar. That's what happens. Where did they come from? They were not there. I know the rice was squeaky clean. Where did they come from? They are born of moisture. Some kind of a thing. Maybe there is some egg already in the rice. Even one egg is enough. But then that egg is invisible, and then when the right amount of moisture is there, it hatches. And there is no babyhood for these kinds of small creepy crawlies. There is no babyhood, there is no teenage. All these things are just for human beings. So within 3 hours of taking birth, they start to reproduce. And so like this, by the time you come home, there is a proliferation. You have a whole, what should I say, science project. So like this, and even fungi, Shvetaja, fungus, mold, Shvetaja, mildew, Shvetaja. So all these are called adhama bodies, lowly bodies. Why are they lowly bodies? Subject to pain. If you are in a devata body, you are not subject to pain. You are having a gala time. Yes, one more garland, bring it on. Oh, I'm not full. Yes, the other, just 2 hours ago you offered me something. No problem, I'll have again. Why? Because I have no stomach trouble. Nothing at all. I'm in a devata body, fit as a fiddle I am. And then these other bodies, the lowly bodies, they are so called as lowly because they go through pain. Human beings have pain, but at least they have a mixture of pain and pleasure. But certain other bodies are just pain from beginning to end. They have to live in fear. Oh, I'm a small little worm, the caterpillar thinks. I'll be eaten up. I have to just stick to the leaf because I'm the color of the leaf. Hopefully no one will notice. And then when it is really eats because it's programmed to eat. And then this small caterpillar becomes fat and big, cannot even move. And the bird thinks, yes, eat some more. This is brunch. So, because it cannot move, it has to be in fear and it has to just be worried of predators. But supposing the bird does not eat it, it makes into the stage of what is that called? Pupa. It makes a kind of a thing around itself and then it just sticks to the tree or a bush. There too it is not safe. Heavy winds, predators can just drop it on the ground and it can get destroyed. Suppose it doesn't get destroyed, the caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. Especially the silkworm caterpillar, and it's a beautiful, transforms into a beautiful moth. But before it can do that, it is cut open and put in boiling water to get the silk fabric. Very sad. Silk is very full of himsa. Full of himsa. This silk is thousands of caterpillars have to give up their life for one silk sari. Think about it. There is something called ahimsa silk. It's not much better. It has shorter fibers because supposedly they let the moth fly away. The moth actually doesn't fly away. It feeds on that silk fiber for a bit and spoils it. Spoils according to the silk weavers because they want long strands, and then here it just eats in different places and the strands become very short and not good for weaving. But even there I have heard so-called ahimsa, because even there the moths are made to fly away quicker, destroyed if they don't fly away, etc., etc. So like this is a life that is fraught with fear. From beginning to end there is just fear. Adhama deha. Uttama deha, adhama deha. Adhama deheshu. And adhama deha means deha that is fraught with lot of challenges, and upadhi that is fraught with challenges, fears, pain, anxiety, all kinds of things, and of course sorrow. We can think of countless examples. The birth of these sea tortoises, sea turtles, sea tortoises. They all hatch. The mother is nowhere near. She doesn't have any maternal instinct. In fact, she lays the egg in the sand and goes away, has her own life. The sand is hot and it incubates the eggs and they hatch. As they hatch, they all hatch at once because they were all laid at once. And of course, think of so many tortoises laying eggs in the same place and all of them hatching at once. Why should I think of that? Because it's a very interesting situation. And also, flying overhead are hawks, vultures. Why? Because defenseless baby is being born. What should this tortoise do? It has to run. It's just born, it's newborn, but it has to run to the sea. There only it is saved. It has to run to the sea. Before it runs, swoop, gulp. That is its prarabdha. Full of fear, full of anxiety, full of pain. Adhama deheshu. So the same consciousness, same Ishvara, same Brahman, same Satchidanandam Brahma enters the body, enters not only immortal bodies of the devatas, but also what? The mortal body of all the jivas, and then learns to complain. No, that it's not exactly what it says, but that too happens. And then what does it say? Sthitaha, remaining in these bodies, bhajate. Bhajati. Bhajati means gains. Accumulates what? Mortality. So here is what answers the question. What is the question? How did I become a mortal? This is how. You didn't become a mortal. It is just upadhi vishesha. It is because of the upadhi that certain bodies are mortal, and you as Satchidananda Atma have entered the body that is mortal, and because of Atma Ajnanam, what do you think? I am mortal. I am subject to death. I am subject to limitations. I cannot be any other way. This is what one thinks. This is all a wrong, it's a transference. It's a transference. The mortality of the body is projected onto the Atma. This is called adhyasa. Atmani anatma adhyasa. Many kinds of adhyasas are spoken of. Two in particular we'll see in the time that we have. The first one is anatmani atma adhyasa. A mistake made upon the I, the finite, is projected onto the infinite. Onto the infinite I project the attributes of finitude. Atmani anatma adhyasa. Then the other one is also there. The other mistake is anatmani atma adhyasa. In the not I, meaning in everything else that I can objectify, I project infinitude. I want everything to last forever. Whatever I have should last forever. The person in my life should last forever. And my possessions should last forever. And that forever is projected onto things that are not forever, never forever. And this is something which is how, because of this dual adhyasa, Atmani, Anatma adhyasa, then Anatmani, Atma adhyasa, projecting finitude on Anatma, not I, on all objects that are finite, I project infinitude, and on I, who is naturally infinite, I mistake myself to be finite. These two mistakes constitute samsara. This is why and the cause of this is not knowing the nature of the I. Not knowing the nature of the I, the not I is mistaken for the I, and the I is not recognized for what it is. These two adhyasas are what? Lunch and dinner of the jiva. A staple diet of the jiva is in the form of these two adhyasas. Very sad, but true. And so, the removal of adhyasa needs atmajnanam. Atmajnanam means the correction of this wrong thinking that I have become a mortal, that I am subject to death, that I am subject to ending, that I am subject to sorrow, that I am subject to fear, that I am subject to all kinds of things. This is what is the prasada of Atma Ajnanam. Oh, Ajnanam also started to give prasada? Yes, watch out. Don't take it. Say, no, thank you. This is not a prasada I want. And so, this is why Atmajnanam is the antidote to this state of affairs. And Atma Jnanam being there, I can see all this is because of Upadhi. I first thing the Atma Jnanam does is say, you are not the Upadhi. Like even the space inside the pot. Pot space. Pot space is very sad. Why is the pot space sad? I'm confined to the pot. I want to be one with Parama space. I am Jiva space. I'm a space Jiva. Spaced out Jiva. I'm a space Jiva. I want to go be one with a big vast space which is God for me. When will this pot break so that I can be one with space? What will you tell? The pot needs a guru badly. Yeah. Pot space needs a space guru actually. And the pot space, the space guru will tell, are you, the space guru is, let's say, Buddhist, so asks everything in the form of a question. Space guru will say, are you in the pot or is pot in you? Go contemplate on that. It's a koan. And then when we think about it, it's true. The pot is what is in space. So what we call pot space is just a name and form. Same thing, pot space, room space, head space, stomach space, especially because we are approaching lunchtime. Stomach space, all these spaces. So many spaces, so little time. Are there so many spaces? No. If you walk in the same neighborhood and you see a house under construction, this is where you can see the mithyatvam of space immediately. First there is just an empty lot. And then some poles come. After that, outside walls come. Then you have one big room. And then after that, the dividing walls come. Closet space, room space, bathroom space, kitchen space, bedroom space, living room space, basement space, attic space. We have names. But really speaking, you can't divide space. Space is as though divided. And similarly, this unfettered, limitless, nameless, formless I am all pervasive. I am the one in every body. I am, that's what here it says. I'm the one, it is all this Ishvara, this consciousness, this Brahman, in every body, in every mind, it is there. This same consciousness sleeps in a rock, sways in a tree, leaps in a frog, and complains in a human being. More we'll see later. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.